Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the case may be, wherever you're watching this stream from, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it on the playback, you're all very, very welcome to another episode of Post-Match Khanage. And I just realized I haven't used that intro in ages. I've been enjoying my other intros so much. I've just realized I've used it for every single show, but it is what it is. I thought I'd go back to the Khanage intro and especially it's got that more dramatic one-on-one combat type style to it, and I thought it's perfect. And I thought it's perfect for a derby. Yeah. And I thought, as it's perfect derby, then I've got to get someone who's perfect to speak about with a derby as well. And I've got Mike from Blue Boyz Network. How are we, my friend?
It's your boy. How are we, everyone? It's the blue side of Merseyside. Can I just make a point, Grizz, just before we get into the nitty gritty?
Yeah, of course you can.
Look. This derby is the first game together since something really horrible happened 2 weeks ago in Liverpool, the shooting of that 9-year-old little girl. So from the Everton side of things, guys, I hope tomorrow is, of course, as feisty as normal, as aggressive as normal, proper derby. But I hope there's a little bit of brotherhood between us all, and we support each other. And if you know anyone that's involved in that line, guns and knives and things, just put them down, guys. Put them down.
Absolutely, mate. Very well said. Not enough is spoken about sort of unity and the brotherhood side of things. We always let a few dickheads get in the middle and spoil everything. And it's just so shouldn't be like that. Absolute awful, tragic. I just can't bear to think and imagine how the family must be and how the family must feel. I wouldn't wish it on the worst enemies ever. But thoughts and prayers, obviously, and best wishes, and you're spot on. If we can't work together and get together in these kind of situations, when we can possibly maybe even influence one kid or one teenager or anything, we're not doing anything right. Appreciate the support, lads, as usual. Slowly, I know it's a random time, 6 o'clock. Everyone said, why am I live at 6 p.m? But it is what it is. Friday night. Mikey's a busy man, and I double booked as well. I'm doing something else later on, which I'll tell you guys later on. But we're slowly getting in there. 60 of you guys here. I know he's a very busy man these days. Mike, big up Mike, seen him everywhere, top man. And then Klopp sipping Arsenal tears. He was just on Coppish. There you go. That's what happens when you're a good lad. You get asked to come on and everywhere. He says, "Hey, panel, Man United fan, yeah." I'm here for the family, the righteous, the community, man. Big up. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. 1 p.m. in Kentucky. Well, there you go. That's why I've done it. I've done it for the USA fan base. Nice and lunchtime viewing for you guys. Mikey, how are we, pal? How you doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're busy. Life sense, football sense. It's all going off. Obviously, Everton coming to this game off the back of a bit of a weird window, which I know you're going to ask me some questions on, but it's a bit of a weird window for Everton. We strengthened in so many areas, defence, attack, midfield, but you're probably lacking that striker we needed there. So apart from that, Grizz, I'm good. How's you? How's Liverpool life?
It's good. Have I been up? I'm just thinking. I haven't even been up this season. I went to a couple of away games. I haven't been up. So it will be good to get up. I actually had tickets to tomorrow's game, but because of the early kickoff, I would have had to set off about 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning, and then I haven't been feeling too great, so it would have been way too much. I thanked the brother that got me the tickets, and I said I just can't make it. And also, I'm just way too nervous for Everton Liverpool games at Goodison Park. But yeah, look. Merseyside derby 240. We were just speaking off air, and you said, we've won, 5 of them. And I was like, well, no, you haven't. And I've got the stats right here. Liverpool, 97 wins, 67 wins for Everton, and 76 draws. We do tend to draw a lot, don't we, Mike? So I know last season, I remember very clearly, you were shitting yourself going into that Goodison game. And you pretty much nailed the prediction, actually. You was like 3-4-1, and that's exactly how it turned out. I sense, we're going to get your opinion now, but I sense a bit of a difference in how you feeling this time round.
Yeah. I mean, let's just look. Liverpool are better than Everton. So let's just get that on the table. Liverpool are better than Everton. However, there is one particular style of play which I think Liverpool might struggle against this year, which is the fact that you guys play a high line. And I think it's fair to say that the midfield at times, certainly in the Manchester United game, was let's just say vacant. There was a big gap. There's been spaces in that midfield all season. And that actually is Everton's strongest part of the pitch, with Onana. Garner's coming into that side. Iwobi on the turn has played really well, surprisingly, obviously. And Everton have scored goals this season by going over the top. You know, Jordan Pickford's got an assist already. Connor Cody, Tarkowski, and that's using the pace in behind. And that is probably Liverpool's Achilles heel right now. There is no doubt on paper Liverpool have a better side. But I just think in those key areas where you've struggled a little bit this season, they are the two areas that Everton just happen to play most of their football. And this is why I'm a bit more confident this season than I was last season, Grizz, where I expected to get thumped and we got battered. It was sensational.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I sense that as well. I mean, look, you're right. Even though I was trying to play the pessimistic card last season, we both kind of knew in our heart of hearts the state of the two teams. But I do sense, and I was speaking on 90 Minutes, big up the 90 Minutes lads this morning, and we were previewing the derby, and I said the one thing that I'm not looking forward to is trying to break through your rear guard, because you may, and we're going to get into the different areas of the pitch, as you said, but one area of the pitch that I think you're strong in as well is that centre-back area. You've done well in recruiting a couple of Premier League stalwarts, so to speak, experienced guys. And we're going to get into that. But first, I wanted to talk about, we're going to get that. Owen saying, does Mike expect any of the signings to start? We're going to get into all the team news and, you know, what we think is going to happen, whatnot. But if we take it back to sort of the summer transfer dealings, ins and outs, if we look at your outs, Mike, and we go through the main ones, talk us through what you felt was needed, what you felt was didn't want him to go. I mean, just talk us through those ones, probably starting from the top, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, we knew Richarlison wouldn't stay this season. We knew halfway through last season. So I wasn't surprised that he went, and I was happy with the transfer fee. I feel like that is
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was necessarily worth more than that. If anything, maybe a touch less. He has got what Spurs fans are noticing, and Tobes will talk about this on the Big Six, and any other Spurs fans, you notice that he gives that fight, that passion. He's a little bit of an arse, if you get what I mean. You know, showboat and whatever. He gets teams raging and fuming, but that helps sometimes because the player will lose his head. They'll snap him. They'll give him a free, you know, and that was useful. So missing him, Gordon stepped up. Then you get rid of your players like Cenk Tosun, your Andre Gomez, your Dele Alli, your Gabarmin, your Alpha Jr. These are all players that ain't going to get in the team. We've either spent a lot of money on them over time and they just aren't good enough. And then you've got obviously the few loans, you know, your Niels Nkonku, he's a loan. Jared Branthwaite, he's a young lad, he's a loan. So yeah, happy with all of that. And obviously the two obvious ones at the bottom there, Gylfi Sigurdsson and Fabian Delph, they've been released from the club, and probably less said about them the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, going through those names, right, and obviously we're not going to speak on sort of the likes of Sigurdsson or whatever, that's fine. Anwar El Ghazi was a very, very strange one, wasn't he? Came on loan. Did he even actually make a full Premier League appearance where he played 90 minutes? I don't know.
I think he played 6 minutes in 12 games.
Wow.
The only reason he came was to supplement the wages of Luca Dean that went to Aston Villa.
Right. Okay. See, that didn't make sense at all because
No.
he was. How shall I describe him? Handy in certain games when you saw him for Villa. Do you know what I mean? Like, he did the odd thing. I do remember him scoring a couple of corkers for Villa here and there. This was just a strange one. You're right. Going through that list, look, Gbamin, again, didn't see nothing of him. Dele Alli was an absolute disaster, wasn't he? Clusterfuck of a career so far for him.
And do you know what's
Such high hopes. Liverpool was so close to getting him and everything, but I guess, you know, one of those blessings that we didn't get him in the end.
You know what's worse is I remember, I think it was me and you talking, and I think it was on one of the other shows that we work on, the Total 90. And I think you guys, well, it might have been you asked me who the signing of the transfer window was. And I said it had all the potential to be Dele Alli. And at that point, I should have got rid of my channel and ended YouTube for life. I should have finished it because that statement was ridiculous in hindsight. Absolutely pathetic.
I mean, I don't know where to start with the fella. What is it? What do you put it down to? Is it like attitude, desire? You got, look, every player, if you want to reach the top, it doesn't matter how good you are, you have to have this inner desire, inner self-belief, inner motivation. All three keywords, inner. People can motivate you. People can do their best, put you in a tactical situation, put you in a good team, instruct you how to do this, do that. You've got to have it inside you as well. I think, me personally, that's what he lacks. No inner belief, desire, motivation.
And it's also, without sounding horrible, it's whether he's bothered. You know, this is a guy that's probably earned 100, 150 grand a year since he was about 22, 23 years old. He has earned significant amount of money. You know, how bothered is he about football now these days? You know, is it literally just a job to him? You know, for me and you, for example, and most people watching, we'd all be sitting there, unbelievable. Give me $5 grand a week. Give me $1 grand a week and I'll play for Everton. You know, just let me get 5 minutes for free. I'll do it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
for somebody who it's its job and it's repetitive, you know, just like anyone in life, sometimes you want to change your role, you want to change your job. And I'm sure he's got to the point in his mindset where he just can't wait to end. Like, he's just taking his paydays. He just can't wait to end. And then he'll do something else in the future because he won't have to worry about money. And it's unfortunate that this happens to footballers, but it's happened to a lot that we can think of in recent years. You know, you can possibly argue Ross Barkley's in there as well. You can argue that it happened to Michael Owen at the time when he went to Newcastle. I remember him making that comment, couldn't wait to retire. So it happens to these players when they get put on a pedestal so high.
So early.
Yeah, so early. They don't quite make it, or they can't keep it up. They just go, well, it doesn't really matter, really. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's look, Dele Alli's probably one of the most recent worst examples of a player wasting his career away, and a decent career as well. As I said, Liverpool really liked him and really, really close to getting him. But look, you got rid of the ones that absolutely had no. I guess most Everton fans didn't have time for. I get what you're saying about Richarlison. Ideally, you would have liked to kept him, but you got very good fee for him. What do you think about your incomings then? What did you do with that money then? People obviously going to want to know, what did you do with that money? So we'll start from the top again. The most recent acquisition, I guess. Amadou Onana. Talk to me. Defensive midfielder, bought from Lille, around £31 million. What's your thoughts so far? Did you know much about him? And obviously, if you didn't, what happens is we get on the old YouTube, don't we, straight away and see what kind of player we're getting in. How's it been so far?
So he has been very young, very raw, but he's got all the attributes that you need in a midfield. He's combative, he can pass, he's got that little bit of flair, he's got that engine to carry the ball forward. He's been a fantastic signing, if I'm honest, Grizz. I've been really, really impressed with him. He reminds me of, do you remember Moussa Dembele at Spurs?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying he's at that level yet, because he was sensational. He was fantastic. He was actually underrated. But he looks like that type of player. Will win the ball, will command it in the middle of the park, and will do something with it. Very difficult to get the ball off unless he's on the turn. He's a young lad. He'll make mistakes. But honestly, really, really happy with him. And then you go down the list and you go to Dwight McNeil. Personally, I'll be straight. I think it's a waste of money. He's done nothing to make me happy. He's done nothing that's made me go, oh yeah, he looks quality. He's done nothing.
Really? But it's surely it's too early, Mike.
No, it is. It is. I shouldn't sit here and criticise him, but you know, when you're in a position that Everton are in, and we're reliant on our wingers, and we're reliant on people getting a goal or getting in the right positions, he's looked better defensively. Like he's looked better tracking back and supporting Patterson, and that isn't what we bought him for. We bought him for goals. We bought him for assists, and I appreciate he hasn't had a striker, but this is also a guy that only got 1 assist and no goals in a Burnley team that went down last season, and he was their golden boy to a degree, their talisman, the player that everyone knew about before he came on. And actually, he's done very little. It's still early, Grizz, yeah, but it's going to take some time, mate. And then we've got Neil Mulpay in from Brighton. Again, I haven't seen him in a blue shirt yet, so it's difficult to comment. But my observation is, if you're expecting Mulpay to replace the goals of Richarlison and everything else with it, he's not going to do it. So you've spent £15 million on a player that's going to be your second choice striker. And I get why, but actually, because of Calvert-Lewin's injury record, he's probably going to play more games than him. And is Neil Mulpay going to score enough goals to do the job? Probably not. So a little bit disappointed that we spent quite so much money on him when potentially we could have maybe not got McNeil, not got Mulpay, and put that £30 million or whatever it is, 35 million to one better player.
So look, Onana very much sought after. West Ham were after him, weren't they? And you managed to prize him away, which is first and foremost a good sign. Even though they're above you at the moment, seem to have more money than you at the moment, playing in Europe, he still decided to come to Everton, which is a positive sign, and he was quite vocal about it that I wanted to play for Everton. Dwight McNeil, it's one of those signings, isn't it? It's basically one of those ones where you've seen an opportunity from a relegated team, one of their, as you said, one of their prized assets, and you've gone for him to see if he can play better with better players around him, because obviously the players at Burnley weren't as good as you're hoping players around Everton are. You know, what position is best suited to him then? Because I know you guys have been trying to find his position, or do you think you haven't found it yet, or in a 4-3-3? Because I was going to get your but we'll get into that. I was going to get your predicted lineup for tomorrow. Is there anything? Because I'm not joking. I used to think he'd make a brilliant attacking left back in the modern game, but you guys are playing him like as a right winger, aren't you?
To be honest, I don't think he knows his best position. So last season for Burnley, he played left back, right back, left wing back, left right wing back. He played up front. He played on the wing. I don't know where he plays, Grizz. And I've got to be honest, to be brutally honest, he doesn't even get in the team at the minute. He goes straight onto the bench. He doesn't get in. He wouldn't be in my 11. But
he's been starting, right? Every game? Or...
Because we've had no choice. We've had no choice because we haven't had that centre forward. Now that Mulpay and actually Calvert-Lewin's back in training, he's not going to start over Gordon or Gray.
Okay.
So I don't know where he plays. And equally, you know, when you've got the three in the middle, Iwobi's been fantastic. I mean, Iwobi's like a different player. I honestly can't believe Iwobi.
I honestly can't believe that as well.
Yeah. So, and then you've got Onana who isn't going to be dropped, and Ladrissa Garnagay who's coming to the side. He isn't going to get a game.
Interesting. And as you said, touched upon Neil Mulpay. Well, Ladrissa Gay comes back. I had a bit of a laugh with you, calling it home.
He said home. He said home. I made sure I tagged you in that. He said home. I'm glad to him.
But it's weird, isn't it? Because it was a strange signing at the time, wasn't it, when he went to PSG? You wouldn't have thought that he's a PSG type signing. Obviously, the circus that is at PSG, only the big stars sort of get looked after, all the rest just gets circulated. He's come back home. A good servant for you guys, done well for you, I thought. Brings the energy, he's got a bit of bite about him. Happy to see him back.
Absolutely. And when Idrissa Gana Gueye, unfortunately for him, has been really underrated, in my opinion, over the last sort of 6 or 7 years, because, at one stage, everyone was, going on about how fantastic Kante was, but actually Idrissa Gana Gueye in that season outperformed him in every single statistic. He deserved his move to PSG, and I think he still played 30 times last season for PSG. He wasn't, he wasn't just a name. He was very much in that team. He there's pictures of him with Neymar and Messi and Mbappe, and for someone with that experience to come back into an Everton side, which is very young and learning, that's a brilliant acquisition. £2 million up front as well, Grizz. There's no harm in that.
No, absolutely isn't. I can't see that going wrong at all. It's a very, low risk, high reward type move. I definitely like the next two moves I want to talk about is the James Tarkowski and Conor Cody. I think, especially with the injury to Godfrey and the forever seemingly injured Mina, it had to be addressed, right? I guess you're very happy, and I definitely think you're very happy with the loan and the free transfer, like no fee for either of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, James Tarkowski, he is. Do you know, it's mad actually, but he's a complete snide, and I didn't realise he was. Like, he's another one that will make.
Come on, you didn't know this. Burnley playing under Sean Dyche, not to be a snide.
There was only one time I ever looked at him and I thought, you know what, you are an arsehole. But one that I could, I love. He's aggressive. He'll snap into a tackle. He's big and strong. He'll win headers. He reminds me of Jagielka. You know when we had Jagielka? He reminds me of that stature. He's not slow. He can pass the ball. He's been a great signing on a free transfer, buzzing. And then Conor Cody, that experience, that leadership, that management. He's just been brilliant. So happy.
No, absolutely. It totally makes sense. As I said to you, just off air, the two centre backs have to be sort of seasoned pros, especially. And look, let's not get it twisted. You're pretty much not fighting for relegation, but you're gonna have moments where you're flirting with relegation, especially on the back of last season. And what you need to do is really solidify your centre, and I think you've done that. Idrissa Gueye, Onana, and your two centre backs totally gives you a solid foundation to work with, and that's what you needed. You guys were so poor last season through that spine. You had no spine, chopping and changing all the time, and this is why, as we get into talking about the game, I really think that it's going to be far harder than our last few encounters. Obviously, Ruben Vinagre as well. Has he been featuring much, or is it just sort of settling in period for him?
He's just an option. He's an option. Your first choice left back's Mikolenko, who's done fairly well actually since moving over from the Ukrainian side, Kiev. So yeah, he'll come in, and what he tends to do is he plays quite high, so he'll deliver a ball, he'll put a cross into a box. If you remember him from Wolves, he was fairly skillful and could beat him. On a loan, I'm all right with him. If he plays 20 times this season coming off the bench, don't mind too much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's what I mean. Like, even if we looked at that sort of how many players you've brought in, it's like quite a squad now. Are you kind of happy with the way it's all happened in terms of the squad? I think he's just putting his dog away for the side. But suddenly it looks like you got a bit of a squad there, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden, the players that were starting for Everton last season, who clearly weren't good enough because we were almost bottom of the league. Let's be straight. We stayed up on after 2 games this season. We almost threw it away at Brentford and went down. And the squad depth is just a little bit better now. So all of a sudden, you go into the games and you think, do you know what? This side they're capable defensively. They're capable of keeping the ball. It's just the goals, Grizz. That's my worry. If Calvert-Lewin was fit and would play every season, every game, I'd say that Everton are probably a top 12 team at the minute. Maybe just 12th, maybe finish 12th.
No, I get what you mean.
I know that's not massive. I know that shouldn't be a, we could all talk about the £600 million we've spent in 6.5 years. We can all talk about the stature of Everton from the 80s. But the facts are, we are where we are. And if you'd offered me 12th at the start of the season, I'd snap your hand off. So
absolutely.
The sooner Calvert-Lewin gets back and touch wood, he starts scoring goals again, getting his confidence back, maybe concentrating on the football more, then I can be happy and rest assured. But at the minute, just while we're still in this little transition, we've still only picked up 3 points in 5 games. Just a little bit nervous. Because at the minute it could go well, but it could go wrong very quickly because of the lack of goals.
No, that's understandable. People, there's 160 of you guys in here. I really love and appreciate the support as always. I know it's a random time for one of my shows, but if you could all smash a like button, that would be so amazing, so lovely. I always appreciate your likes, so let's get those likes up, people. This was your last lineup. Player of the match, McNeil. Just thought I'd find that funny because after you slagged him off, he was your man of the match last game, but obviously not in your opinion.
Do you know what? This is what I mean. It was because of his defensive work.
Okay.
It was absolutely fine if he was playing right wing back, but I needed to score a goal for us.
Now, fair enough. But looking through that lineup, what are we expecting in terms of tomorrow? So Patterson, we haven't spoken about. I think he's been a revelation for you guys at right back. The only reason I know about him is because it's 4 million on the FPL. And I looked at him very closely, but I thought Coleman's going to get in. He's club captain. Don't know how many games Patterson's been going to play, but he's been playing quite a bit, hasn't he?
He'll play every game. If he stays fit, he'll play every game. I also looked at Nico Williams on the fantasy football as well, just another 4 million.
Isn't
it? Yeah, he's been really good, Chris. He's adapted to the Premier League well. He's a young player. If you remember, he really hurt himself last season. I think he did his Achilles or his ACL, or he hurt himself bad last season, came back, and he's been really good. He's had the stewardship of Cody next to him. If we've played 3 at the back, it's been Holgate. And he's learned to go forward. He's learned to defend. He's learned the right things. And, he could have won the game for us against Leeds the other night. So his decision-making in the top half of the pitch needs to improve. But he's a young lad. You're going to be a bit rash, aren't you, when you see the flashing lights and the goalkeeper in front of you? You're going to have a shot into the baton, aren't you?
Of course you are. But again, very much another a young prodigy who we think, is going to go on to do great things. Talk to me about the resurgence Owobi then, because this is like some story, isn't it?
It's mad, actually. So every season, when I used to do my watch-alongs and that, I used to sit there and, he'd do something that you'd go, oh, it's Iwobinia. So you either had Iwofu or Iwobinia. That was the mood we were in. And at the minute, is Iwobinia? He's just, he gets down. He'll beat a person. He'll spray it left or right. He's got that little bit of trickery, that little bit of pace to get himself out of danger. He'll put a foot in. Honestly, he's turned himself into like Joelinton. Just what Joelinton's done.
Good example.
He's adapted to being a centre midfielder, and honestly, he's undroppable. He is undroppable at the minute. He's been our player of the season so far.
Wow. Well, this is a predicted lineup that I caught off Everton website for tomorrow. Do you think this is pretty much nailed on, or do you think any changes that you straight away pop out at you? Go on.
Yeah. So the only one that I would consider changing, and I know it's bold to throw him straight in, but he's Davis and Garner.
Really, you'd go early straight away for?
Right. Even if he gives us 45 minutes.
So remind us, has he had any training sessions with you guys?
Today.
Oh, just today?
Yeah.
It'd be asking too much, I think.
Do you know what it is?
Davis knows the derby as well. Do you know what I mean? It's more likely Davis knows. Like, we might play, for example, Curtis Jones.
Yeah. So from what I've looked at with you guys, it wouldn't surprise me if you see Elliott in there, Fabinho and Milner, or Curtis Jones. And that's the one area of the pitch that I think Everton might actually have just a bit more legs, actually.
No,
But
you make a good point, mate. It's true.
It's your front three that can hurt us, obviously. So it doesn't matter if Davies comes in fine, if Garner comes in, for me personally, even better. But I think I would just, even if Garner only played 45 minutes, I'd put him straight in that team. You can't go from training with Mbappe and Neymar and all of these quality players, and you can't just walk into the Everton training ground and become a bad player. You get what I mean? He's got to still have it. He's still got to be fit. So just get him in. Just stick him straight in.
And obviously, the way you was talking about in terms of your goal scoring, Calvert-Lewin's not going to be fit. So you're expecting Maupay to go straight in up front as well?
I'm expecting them three, yeah. As that team is there, Maupay, Gray, Gordon, I'm expecting that.
Really? Okay. Well, listen, as I said, this team does look far stronger than in the past. I think the Iwobi one's the big one, isn't it? He's kind of, as you said, turned himself around and looks like someone who could play in the midfield. Yeah. As opposed to last season, he looked like a fish out of water in midfield. We were so used to seeing on the wing. Gray has made his annual good start to the season. He always tends to start well, doesn't he? Look, if this is the lineup tomorrow, then you've got, a fair bit of pace. Look, Gordon, I think it's only fair. You've managed to keep him with a lot of interest from Chelsea. At one stage, it looked like he's going to leave you. He's going to go. A lot of money being offered for him. 50, 60 million must have been tempting, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at that team there and you take Gordon out, for example, and you say throw in Brozier and Conor Gallagher, that team is still strong. Like it's probably, you could argue it's stronger without Gordon in that sense. I think the difference is, I think Frank Lampard really rates him. Really rates him. He probably rates him more than some Everton fans do, if I'm being brutally honest. This season, we've started to see a little bit more of end product from him, because last season he didn't, and there was a few fans that were saying, look, he's a good player, but he's not worthy of the hype. Well, he's stepped up and he's showing that he's a good footballer. If you would have offered me £50 million for Gordon, I would have snapped your hand off.
Wow.
But that's not because I don't rate him. That's because I think that £50 million
money was too good to turn down. Yeah, and it could revamp your whole squad.
Could have got us a £35 million striker and Maxwell Corner. That's what it could have got us.
Look, I hate the kid, obviously, as a Liverpudlian. I think he's he's a massive diver. I think he's a nuisance. I think he's, I mean, everything that a rival fan hates. But I tell you what, Mike, I think he's a wonderful talent. I genuinely believe he could be so good. And that's why I kind of didn't want him to go to Chelsea, because I genuinely think he would improve them. Now, forget the fee. 60 million is wild. He's not a 60 million pound player, as you said. He's just not. But he's got the attributes and the talent and the raw pace that you just can't buy. Raw pace like that. I think he's good, right? And I think he's caused us issues every time we've played you. And I think you've done very well to keep him, because there was rumours that he actually wanted to go. Do you think that was the case?
Yeah, I do. I think. But again, I go back to the analogy of your job. So he would be at Everton, and he'll be on a decent amount of money, because he signed a new contract, I think, halfway through last season. So he'll be on a decent whack for a 21, 22-year-old. But somebody who is a better company in terms of where they are, i.e. Champions League football, someone who has got European ambitions, title ambitions in some aspects, and will probably increase your pay probably 2.5, 3 times. You'd be interested. I'd be interested.
You're right. There's not a lot you can you can't turn your nose up at something like that. But
ambition, Grizz, and I won't ever
ambition as well. Yeah,
I won't ever sit there and criticise a player for being ambitious. But what I would say is, unlike other players that Everton have had in the time, Ross Barkley, he hasn't thrown toys out the pram. He hasn't pushed for a move. He hasn't He has said, I want to play for Chelsea. But he hasn't gone, that doesn't mean I don't love and I'm not going to play for Everton. That he's just saying, I want to go and play European football. Now, it could be that Man City come in next summer, and I'm sure we'll want to go to Man City. Or it could be Arsenal, or it could be you lot, it could be anyone. And if you are more ambitious and you are in a better state than Everton Football Club, I do not blame people leaving. I don't.
No, that's it. Yeah, no. I think you make sense. Look, and that's fair as well. When you got young prodigy talent, if he wants to progress, you just can't hold it back these days. Especially if you know you're not really progressing anywhere in the next 3-4 years. It's just a matter of regrouping and sort of survival and sort of slowly, gradually building up, which is what you guys are at. Some fella called Grizz Khan here in the chat said, "Smash likes, please." What a nice fella. Yeah, you don't have to smash it, just tap it. That'll work as well. But yeah, look, going on to sort of our predicted lineup, I think the only contentious decision that Klopp is probably going to have to make from our point of view is going to be whether Matip comes straight in for Gomez. I think Gomez might keep his place, but just I've got this caption up, so we're just going to assume Matip's back in. What have you made of us so far? As much as you've seen us or whatever you've seen of us, what do you think so far?
Yeah, so I watch a lot of football, Grizz. I've seen Liverpool enough to know that it's probably fair to say that some Liverpool fans are probably a little bit concerned about what's going on at the minute. In terms of it doesn't quite look as efficient as it usually does. One of the things I would always say about Jurgen Klopp's sides is they're efficient. They play attractive football, aggressive football, quick football, and there does seem to be missing parts. You've made games difficult for yourself at home and away. Yes, there was a Bournemouth result, but I think as good as Liverpool were that day, I think it was also as much as Bournemouth fell apart as well. So you had the two enigmas at the same time. I really think Liverpool, I'm not going to say struggle as in they're not going to finish top 4, but I don't think they're in the title race this season, Grizz. And that's the being honest. There's already a decent size gap. There was almost an even bigger gap with the Newcastle result. Potential, the potential. Obviously, the young lad who we'll talk about in a minute, I'm sure he's been absolutely fantastic. Really, really impressed with him. But it just doesn't quite look right. Big up, Saeed. It just doesn't look right, Chris. Something's missing, and I don't know whether it was the Mane thing. I don't know whether Diaz is quite as efficient as Mane is. I like Diaz. I rate him very highly, but something's just not quite right. It might be the centre of the park, the new midfielder that you've brought in, Arthur Melo. He might solve the problem. Obviously, you've got Thiago to come back in as soon as he's fully fit, etc. Until then, though, I think you just need to try and get as many points as you can while you go through this little injury patch, because it just doesn't seem like Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely, that is the case, man. First and foremost, big up the boss. Boss is in town. Appreciate the generous super chat. Says great show again, my brothers. Thank you very much, my brother. Always welcome, and really appreciate the support. I think you're right, man. I think you're right. Look, the facts of the matter are, we're taking out Konate, Thiago, Henderson, Keita, Jota, and Nunes, who's been suspended. That's 5-6 first teamers that probably get into every team barring Cities in the Premier League and most in Europe. You're going to miss them, but you're right. Everton will look at that team tomorrow and think we can dominate that midfield.
That's it.
Everton will think we can get at that back four. Trent's not playing well. Virgil's not playing well. Your wide men are playing well. Gordon and the other Demarai Gray in form, flying, pace. What do we struggle against? People running behind like Man United showed. There is something missing, but again and again and again, this team, this squad shows a mental strength that is beyond normal humans, normal teams. To get that win against Newcastle the other day was magnificent. And you've spoken about sort of one of the youngsters that has been playing really well every time he's come on. Obviously, Fabio Carvalho has been an absolute gem for us, but our player of the season so far, and it's only 5 game weeks in, is Harvey Elliott, Mike. This kid has been sensational. And the fact that he's been sensational, and the fact that I'm calling our 19-year-old our player of the season, again, like your analogy about Bournemouth and Liverpool, one has to be crap, one has to be amazing. He's amazing, but it suggests the better players the more senior players haven't been playing to their potential. Because if Salah plays to his potential, he's the best player in the Premier League. If Virgil van Dijk plays to his potential, he's the best defender in the league. If Fabinho plays to his best potential, he's the best DM in the league. None of them have been playing to the best of their ability. Harvey Elliott stood up, and he's been wonderful. You're gone
on Salah. Obviously, Salah didn't have a fantastic end of last season either.
Yeah,
from about February, March onwards, he probably tailed off. And Mane was the really good one, I would argue.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about Salah? And Liverpool fans, let me know in the comments. That's a general question. I'm not digging fun or anything. I'm just
it's a very fair and honest question, and you're rightly so asking it. So Salah didn't have a bad ending. Salah did have a very bad ending to the season, but he had a very good pre-season, and especially in the first game in the Charity Shield. But he was back to his flying best. He tore City to shreds, and we thought, right, okay. There's been a slight positional tactical change where he's playing really wide now, and that is causing him not to be as involved or getting as many chances. But his stats will tell you he's got assists and he's making chances galore now as well. Even though he scored 2, I think he's assisted about 3 or 4 now.
Wow.
We've seen a different side of Salah, a more creator side. But every Liverpool fan will tell you we want to see him fucking in front of goal, and that cold-blooded killer that he is. 30 goals a season for the last 5 seasons is crazy levels. So yeah, look, there is a slight concern. I wouldn't call it a worry, but there is an absolute concern. Nothing like a derby goal can't fix, right? So let's hope you've talked him into that. Boss says Salah will be fine, inshallah. Hopefully Salah is missing Mane. I think Nunes coming back will help him. That's a very good point. We've changed that system because we thought we were going to play Jota or Nunes through the middle, total different types of strikers. But Bobby's been playing last few games, and then that system hasn't worked as a result. So where Salah and Mane used to play inverted wingers with Bobby, we play different now. We play Nunes up there and more crosses, so they stay wide now. But it's a very, very valid point. Apart from that, as you said, look, Milner's the one where you're going to think you're going to get better of him because we've got no Henderson, no Thiago, no Naby Keita. Probably our first two out of our first 3 choices in our midfield. We're relying on Elliott, who for the 6th game is going to look to be the most influential player on the pitch. You guys are definitely going to try and look to bully him and get the physical better of him. Fabinho's been treading water recently, like he's fucking walking in quicksand. And Milner's 36. Is that where you think the game's going to be won and lost in midfield?
No, I don't. Trust me, I actually don't think this game's going to be in midfield at all, because I think what Everton are going to do is allow you guys to press into our half, and then I think you're going to see absolute Sam Allardyce style long balls over the top all game to Tamari Gray and Gordon. I think they're going to use the pace in behind all game.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. You're not going to look to try to play through midfield. You haven't got the midfielders to be able to do that, and we haven't got the midfielders at the moment to do that either. It could be I think it's going to be very cat and mouse, Mike. I think it's going to be it's not going to be much chances. It's going to be a lot of set pieces, niggly fouls, stop and start, very much like Newcastle the other day, actually. I think it's going to be like an old school derby.
Yeah.
where you guys are for the first time going to think we've got a chance against these lot, and you're going to be really up for it. And we're going to be reeling from our performances, so we're going to be up for it as well. We're not going to go there with arrogance and confidence. And that's where there's a leveler. Normally, when we go there with arrogance and confidence, we play you off the park, early goal, and that's it. You know it's curtains after that, especially like last season. I think it's going to be an atmosphere and a half. I think it's going to be a proper old school derby. The only thing, as I said, from this predicted lineup is possibly some people are calling for Núñez to start. I just don't think Núñez is going to. I think Bobby's the man in form, has got the shirt. I think it may be unwise to throw Núñez in a Merseyside derby, especially with the likes of Tarkowski and Cody really winding him up. Don't know what you think about that, because that's what they're going to do, right?
Yeah, agreed. On every preview I've said so far, I hope he starts. Not because I'm expecting him to get sent off, but I'm expecting him to, he'll go in within himself, when he's got two centre-halves standing on his toes, going in for a corner, putting a little elbow in the back, whispering in his ear and all of that stuff. You just sit there and it would put a young lad in a first derby much more calm, more relaxed. And actually, look, and I'll say it as it is, I've been critical of Firmino over the years. I've said he's the most midfield striker I've ever seen in my life. He doesn't score. I don't know what he does, but actually this season he showed his quality again. He showed his link-up play. He showed he could score a goal. He showed he could score several goals. So he's going to be dangerous in this derby, and he'll be right up for it because let's be honest, Firmino hasn't had the best of derbies recently. Like when he's played, he hasn't really done anything. He'll come into that game and he'll be like, right, I'm going to be the main man for Liverpool in this game. I'm going to score the goals that are going to win me this derby. He'll be really confident. He'll be one of the players in your team that'll be like, I'm ready for this.
And not only that, it's amazing what a bit of competition does, because Jota's fit now. Núñez is back from suspension. I expect them both to be starting games from next week onwards. This is probably Firmino's last start in the Premier League, I'd say, for a little while. Fingers crossed there's no injuries or anything. But I think it's going to be one of his starts. People are saying, who's going to be the red card then? Do you think the first red card? Do you think there's going to be a red card in this game?
No, do you know what? I don't.
I hope there is, and that will spoil it, won't it?
Yeah, no, do you know what it is? It's kind of like, I really don't like it when these games get... I like a good tackle. We all like a good tackle. But I don't like it when it gets nasty, because there's no need for that. There's no need to try and injure each other or whatever. Don't like that. So all I want to see is a good competitive game of football, bit of aggression from both sides. No red cards. There'll be a few yellows, probably 4 or 5 each, but nothing as far as a red.
Exactly, as the boss says, headbutting and biting seems to be a Uruguay thing, referring to Núñez. Absolutely. Look, brother, if he turns out 70% of the player our last mad Uruguayan was, I'd be over the moon, mate. Luis Suarez is not going to go down as history as one of the most popular players in the Premier League, but I tell you what, he's in the top 3, top 5 in terms of the most talented players this Premier League's ever seen, because talent-wise, he was out of this world. And if this fella, gives us even a couple of seasons, anything remotely close to the other mad Uruguayan, we're in for a laugh, and we're in for some player as well. Go on, Mikey. Let's get a prediction off you. What are we thinking? How are you feeling then? Let's go.
Yeah, I'm confident. I think Liverpool score, but I think Everton score as well. And I'm going for a cheeky 2-1 Everton win, actually.
Now I know where you're coming from this time. Normally I would laugh at you, and we'd have a good giggle and say, "Oh, be quiet, stop it, this and that." Do you know what I mean? But I know where you're coming from. I see the resurgence. I see the resurgence in confidence. And it all comes from having that foundation. Even though you haven't looked like scoring many goals, not creating a lot of chances, you don't look like conceding a lot. A lot of your games are very boring and dour. You kill the other teams. You can't create much, but you don't let them score either. And that goes down to the foundation that you've built. And I think we're going to find it's the same, especially with the crowd backing you guys. Do you know what? I'll take a fucking narrow win, man, all day long, man. 1 goal, scrappy goal, anything. Núñez coming off the bench. Get, a dodgy offside call, off his shoulder, and some people saying it's handball. and then him diving in front of Frank Lampard like the old Suarez done. I'd absolutely love that. Do you know what I mean? But now it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie. My head is saying draw, but my heart is saying we'll have to be efficient. We're going to create 3 or 4 chances. We got to finish one of them, and then it's all about sort of keeping our composure, because you're gonna try and rattle us in every single way. Trying to keep our composure, and set pieces is going to be where you're playing for. You're going to be looking for set pieces and try to get the better of us, because you're quite a physical big team now, aren't you? You've got a lot of 6 foot plus players. Do you know what I mean? Like even your left back's close to being 6 foot, I think. So so well, listen, as we said, look, as always, may the best team win. Hopefully there's no drama and anything untoward, especially in the stands and everything as well. Hope everything goes fine and safe. But Mikey, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you as always, man. Tell the people where they can find you as well if they want more of Mikey's content.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Obviously, Grizz, it's always good to be back. Yeah, I'm literally all socials, Blue Boyz Network, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course the YouTube. So if you can hit the like and subscribe button, I would appreciate it.
That's excellent. People in the chat, you've persevered with us. Love you loads. Nearly 200 of you stayed with us, even for a random dodgy time for me. So I always appreciative of your love and support. This is the pre-match carnage for the Merseyside derby tomorrow. Let's hope Liverpool can get over that line, get a much needed 3 points, and on we go. Mikey says no, but we say yes. Take care, people. Love you and leave you.